Hey guys, what's up? Sorry about the end of that there. I don't know what happened. I must have, not paused or recorded or something there. I thought I had that video ready to go, but obviously I didn't. Somebody give me a 5 for 5 in there just to let me know everything is all cool and everything with the sound and the audio. I'll wait on that just so everybody can kind of... Okay, cool. I'm going to put the chat away. I know you can't see the chat on my screen right now, but I do want to go over some changes that's going to happen here. After my last upload, there was a lot of, we'll just call them suggestions and discussion in the chat box, in the comment section. And, guys, I first and foremost, let me say something. I'm not offended whatsoever. I don't get offended over, constructive criticism. Now, the name calling, okay, whatever. That's not really cool, but you can call me all the names you want. As long as you're not calling somebody else names, I won't delete the comment. But, using words. Now, listen, guys, and I just want to say this because you're going to get a lot further in life, especially with anybody you're talking to, like me right now, in the comment section, if you leave out words like babble and waffling on and all of that stuff, right? I mean, that stuff just doesn't need, if you really truly are trying to get things to, if you're making a real criticism, there's really no reason to say those kinds of words. I mean, also, my email's in the description box. If you have a serious concern, you can hit me up in the back of all that, and I can talk to you there. It's not doesn't have to be like out like that. I get it. I understand. I do. As far as what the concerns were, and a lot of what was said was exactly correct. I do get distracted. The reason I gave, I guess, wasn't really that valid for whoever was making that comment. But it is the actual truth. Right now I'm doing this live stream in my living room on my TV tray with a laptop and a mouse. That's what you got. That's what I got. I don't have 2 screens. I don't have no studio. I have nothing like that to go to. I don't have any of that kind of stuff. And the other option for me is just to quit doing it altogether. And, that's not what I'm going to do. I'm not going to let somebody else's negativity push me that way anyway. But what I'm saying is, guys, there were some good constructive stuff that came out of that, because there were actually some legitimate criticisms from people that weren't being like that. And let me say this, that, I really do try to take that stuff serious, because you guys, again, when I like to put myself in other people's shoes. When I'm scrolling through YouTube or wherever I'm at looking at stuff, if things are like, all over the place and off the wall and getting distracted all the time, like I get a lot of times, and I try to stay, a little bit different. And I do better sometimes and sometimes I don't. But I do get that, okay? I understand. And so what I'm going to do, most likely, is I'm going to do, I'll probably record the first part of my live stream and play it during my live stream right at the beginning. Okay? That way, all the data and stuff's there, and then for people who want to stick around and talk about what I just showed, you can. And for those that want to bolt after that, they can. There won't be any, distraction there because if you guys go back to some of my older stuff before I started live streaming a bunch, there was none of that really. I did a little bit of that, but I was able to edit a lot of that out. But that just got to be way too time consuming, and I can't do that. It's just too much. But anyway, that's what's probably going to happen. I think it's a good idea. I can push play and I can be in the chat. Well, I'm not going to have to be in the chat because I can actually pause it if I want to. Or I may just post it sometimes as its own video. But it's probably only going to be not even 5 to 10 minutes long. So just so you guys understand that. Because it doesn't take long to actually burn through just the pure data. And a lot of people want that. So I'm going to try to do that. And then for those that want to connect with me and talk, and we can get into deeper conversations, that will be for after that. So, with that being said, I am going to move on. And I just want to give a special thanks out to all my, hey, thanks, Nemesis. I'm going to minimize my chat now. See, I'm already getting distracted by it. So if anybody else is commenting to me right now, I can't see it. I'll check on it here and there, but, I trust my mods. My mods are great. They are the best crew around. The Wages family here is just, it's just awesome. So that's what I would say. So I'm going to just jump into the data here. So anyway, we got the Schumann, guys. There's some stuff going on here. So what's causing that? It could be the sun. The sun did get active. So, that is what it is. We're getting some, elevation and stuff here. And I am going to have Verte on. I'm working on all that. I'm trying to get my schedule it's just all over the place, guys. I'm sorry. I don't really have that much control over that right now. As my kids and stuff start going back to school, it'll kind of slow down and get a little easier. But anyway, he would be able to explain what you're actually seeing here better than I can. And the thing of it is, I've come to realize that yes, this is a spike, but this isn't what people think it is. There's 4 variables here that we need to be looking at, and I'm not going to go into what all that is, because that's a big, long explanation on what we're seeing here. Yes, we should be paying attention to this, but we need to know exactly what we're looking at when we look at this, because there's so much of, people just going crazy over these kinds of things right here. And I used to do the same, because you look at this, and this looks very impressive, right? And it is, okay, I'm not trying to downplay what we're seeing, but what I'm trying to say is we need to understand what we're actually looking at. Yes, we can clearly say that that's not normal, but what are we actually looking at there? What's this tool trying to tell us? And, I don't have the extensive knowledge that Verte does on this subject. He knows how to read this tool upside down and one the other. And that's where the big thing comes in. You have to have a good base. You can't just say a blanket statement like a lot of us did, and I did too. I'm putting myself in that whole thing, okay? I made a lot of mistakes talking about this thing. And I still think it's very important, and that's why I still show it at the beginning of each one of my vids. That's it. That's why. Because this is going to be one of the things we first see. When this thing is jacking up really, really bad and it stays that way, that's going to be a very, very good clue of what's coming and what's already here. So, just want to put that out there. But this is definitely substantial. It's not like we should ignore this. That's not what I'm saying. So please don't misunderstand. And I still will continue to cover this. But anyway. All right. So I guess the first thing you guys are probably here to see is what you've seen in my opening video there. And we'll just go straight to that. How about that? Here's SDO. And what you're looking at here is the sun. And yes, the sun was it started pretty much just firing all over the place. Okay? I'm going to push play here. This is the 211. So what are we looking at? Well, you're going to see an eruption down here at this. And I'm calling this, I'm not sure exactly what latitude that is. But that's pretty high latitude, guys. When I say high, when you're talking about latitude on any kind of globe or any kind of spherical planet, sun, whatever, when you say high latitudes, what that means is it's further away from the equator. The equator is 0. So when somebody says high latitude, it could be going north or it could be going south of that. But the one that's coming at Earth is right here, not this one up here. So watch this right here. See that little eruption right there? And it's hard to see if it was a filament, especially on the 211 here. It doesn't look like it had a flare, like some big large flare or anything with it. It was probably some small flaring. We did get a little small boost of X-ray, but it wasn't nothing like flash in your face and be like, oh my gosh, what is that? But this isn't something that's like really small either. So what we're going to do is I'm going to back this off, and we're going to look at some different angstroms here real quick. And just so you guys can kind of get a better idea of what we're actually looking at. So as I do that real quick, I'm using SDO. I realize the definition on this isn't quite as good as what we get over on ISWA, but it loads faster. So, but you guys see this one up here, right? Watch this one up here. This one here is actually where we actually dodged a bullet with this one. Okay, that was that was actually, it probably was bigger than the one that's coming at us. Okay, let me check on the chat real quick. Okay, yeah, I see a question in there. Cheryl, yes, 8 minutes is what X-ray takes to get here. That's the flare part. Okay? This stuff is plasma. It's traveling at a different speed. Way slower. Hey, Mark, it'll take, it'll take upwards of 3 to 5 days typically for that stuff to come at us to get here. And that's what we usually talk about with geomagnetic storms. It's these filament releases and eruptions like this, plus coronal holes that allow that plasma to stream our direction or get shot our direction. That's the stuff that takes a minute to get here. It takes, well, if you get a really, really large CME that's moving fast, like a fast mover, what we call a fast mover, it would be, those things can actually get here in a day. Probably even just a little bit faster on the really, really big ones. Now, I know a lot of you guys haven't seen any of those because, back when I first started my channel, we were not in solar maximum. We were actually coming out of solar maximum. Sun was slowing down. Things were not very active. And now you guys are getting to see, just with me, just like I said, I had to relearn what I was looking at, because what we're looking at here, guys, is not out of the norm. This is exactly what we would expect when we're talking about the sun ramping up. Okay? So just understand that. And what we're talking about, guys, is, we're watching this thing because it is a matter of if, not when. Right? Or not if, but opposite of that. Sorry, I said that backwards. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. Okay? Because eventually we will get one fired at us. And, we will take it on the chin, and it'll happen. Now, what happens after that is what we all, that's pretty much why we watch this, right? So, yeah. Now, I can't tell you how big this one was down here, guys. Again, this is the 304 angstrom. Remember, we're looking at different wavelengths of light. And it's showing you different gases when you skip through these wavelengths of light, the angstroms here. This is the 304. We can take it back, and we'll go look at the 171, because sometimes the 211 and the 171, guys, if you guys ever go over here and look, typically will show you a lot more of the corona. So if you have like a shock wave going across the sun, you can see it usually pretty well, especially with the 211. I'm not sure why that angstrom itself. Maybe there's just more of that gas hanging around in the sun's corona. Don't know, but that could very well be. But we see it very, very clearly. Okay. When we get the big ones on the backside and we see that shock wave come around the front, we can see that really well typically on the 211 and on this one sometimes also. But yeah, guys, you can see right here. Watch this one up here. Right there. Okay. Notice how fast that blew off of there. And here's the thing. I want you guys to pay attention to this too. You see that one fire right there? Now, what's going to happen, and I noticed this the other day too, because this does happen on the sun. When like you get a disturbed area on the sun and it decides it wants to fire something out, or it gets upset. We call it that sometimes. You'll see it erupt down here, and you can clearly see that disruption follows right on up, because you can see it fire here. This here gets really bright, and even at some level almost looks like it fired something really small, and then this one fired. So it's like it just got disrupted and really kind of just went that way. And it disturbed the whole sun a little bit. And that's not something we would not expect. I mean, that's something we would expect to see. Okay? Especially with the larger eruptions. So just keep that in mind, because you can definitely see when this one fired off, even though it doesn't look as big as this one, it may have been the instigator of why this one even did anything. So it does look like it did do that. You can see little eruptions happening over here also. At the end of this time lapse, watch right here. You see that little squiggly line right there? I think that's a filament that's kind of sticking up. Now remember, a filament, when we see it on the side, it looks like this stuff, right? These things. But when we're looking at it right on the front, it's hard to see them sometimes because the sun's camouflaging it. So we look for stuff like that. Okay, remember, this plasma is traveling on magnetic connection lines. Okay, that's why you see these looping connection lines. You see down here at this sunspot? Now, they're calling this a sunspot, but, you know, when you zoom into this stuff, and we'll just do that real quick. We'll zoom in real quick, and so you guys can see it. Obviously, there are different areas, okay, of more active areas. Now, we can look at this on a different view, and I probably will show you that here in a minute. But when you see a sunspot, like a real big one, and it doesn't have anybody to play with, it won't do anything. It'll just sit there and produce whatever X-ray it's producing. It won't flare or anything until something starts interacting with it. So even though, now see how this one was small and away from most of this? That's where that little eruption came from. Watch. Right here. See that? Boom. And again, I have to say that this is really pretty high latitude. Pretty far south on the sun. I'm not sure exactly where that, you know, where they're going to say it started from latitude-wise. But yeah, that's the case there. So, and again, this is what we're going to be watching for as the sun cycle, you know, continues to increase as we go further and further in time here. This is something we're going to see this. Now, 3 days ago, guys, we had 6 sunspots on the front disk of the sun. Okay, when's the last time somebody could say that? A very long time ago. Okay, we're talking years. And people freak out when they see that, and I'm not saying we shouldn't look at it or see it and look at it and pay attention. It definitely makes us pay attention more. But what I'm saying is we cannot just go straight off the edge thinking that that's something that we shouldn't be seeing. That's just simply not the case. You can go back and you can go look through the historic data collection, and you will see multiple days where there were 6 sunspots or even more on the front disk of the sun. We're all still here, right? That's my point. Okay? People like this, like I said over here, people that want to blow this way out of proportion. I mean, like, I'm talking people making humongous claims in their thumbnails and stuff, like this is, oh, whoa, whoa, and screaming and yelling and doing whatever they're going to do. It's just, man, I just don't get it, you know? I just think that they're hurting themselves because their credibility just goes straight through the floor. Because they keep coming out here crying wolf about this kind of stuff. Well, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years down the road, when they start coming out here and they really need to be saying something about this because it's actually starting to affect us, nobody's going to listen to them. That's my whole point. All right? Yeshua's decided, yeah, I just pulled my chat back up here. Hold on a second. The tops of our trees are beginning to curl up like the intensity of the sun has really increased. Yeshua's disciple, I work in lawn care, and I can tell you that it is just, yeah, I've seen some really strange things that I haven't seen before. I'm not going to go into all those right now. I've talked about some of them before, but I'm not going to tonight. It just take too long. But what I will do is I would refer you guys over to Mr. MBB3's video he made a couple days ago. This person has video of a tree with a leaf that is continuously waving. Okay, it's ridiculous. I'm not going to show it because I want you guys to go give him the views for it. Okay? They physically walked over, touched the leaf, stopped it, let go, and it started waving again. I have never in my life seen anything like that. it was crazy. Now, I'm sure there's some crazy explanation for it, some crazy anomalistic explanation for that. But it was something to see. It was nuts. So guys, please go give him some love over there. Let him know I sent you over there and say, hey, believe it or not, guys, that's what got me into all this. I was watching Mr. MBB3's UVC reports and, or UV reports because I work in lawn care, and that's how I got started in all this. I never would have even been looking at any of it if it wasn't for that. So his name's Michael. He's a really good guy. So whether, again, we don't slam people here, whether you like him or not, I watch him all the time. So just so you know. And again, let me say this too. You don't always have to agree with somebody. Doesn't mean you have to dislike them. You know what I mean? Or you have to slam them. It just gets so old. It really does. So freaking old. Because, we can have disagreements all day long and it just, yeah. Anyway, so let me get through this data real quick. I know people don't want to. I'm trying to give short explanations about what's going on right now, and then we can talk a little bit after this so people can get out of here. But anyway, this is the NASA prediction model, okay, Enlil. And typically when this one's showing something, especially when it's showing that's not really like a glancing blow here, it typically will hit us. They've been wrong before, obviously. I'm not sure what their percentage rate is. They give themselves a leeway as far as how correct they can be. It's like 70%, I think. I think there's like a 30% chance that this actually could be wrong and miss us completely. I'm not really sure about the numbers on that, but I can tell you that this thing is right more times than it's wrong. And that's what I will say. Now, I cannot say that about the NOAA model. All right? And the reason I won't say it about the NOAA model, because that one's designed a little different. It's designed to change every hour. They update it. So it's really hard to say. They try to forecast out 5 days, and it never hardly ever works out that way. Inside 1 or 2 days, they get pretty close. But really, this is the sun here. Earth's here, right? And you can tell that this one did come off of this side. So we know that one that blew off the top of the sun here isn't even here right. Isn't even showing up yet. You can also tell by if you go look at the date. Always look at the date that it started. It started on the 26th. Okay? You can see where the time lapse started. This one, when it sees a new CME, it basically just wipes out what it just seen and shows you the new CME. And there's no more. You can't look at the other one again. So, unless you see this when it happens, I'm sure there's some way to get to the historic signet data on this. I just don't know how to do it yet. Anyway, top-down view of our inner solar system, Sun, Earth. This is stereo A. This should give you guys a pretty good idea of the angle we're talking about. Remember when I'm looking at the side of the sun? Remember what I said. It's more of a 45-degree angle. It's almost right at 45 degrees now. You see that? This is slowly creeping towards the Earth. Now, I've always said it's in basically the same orbit around the sun as we are, but it's just, it's behind us 2 months. If we were to stop and that thing was to keep moving, it's behind us a month or two. It would catch up to us. Okay? It used to be out here. So they had a really good view of the backside here of the sun, because stereo B is here too. It's actually closer to us than what this one is. But it used to be out here too, and we had 2 satellites out here looking at the backside of the sun. This green box, that's Parker SP. That's the one that went out and kissed the sun. You'll see this one on the move a lot. They move this one around quite a bit. I believe that's a square one. Yeah. So you got Venus out here, and this is Mercury, obviously. Okay. So those are the systems you're looking at there when you're looking down from the top. Also, when we're looking at stereo A today, when I show it to you, what you're going to see a bright spot come through there. It's Mercury. Okay. If you see the angle here, it's looking at the sun here, and when I show you stereo A, the object will show up over here on this side. That's most definitely Mercury. Okay. I tell you guys those things because there's a lot of people out there that'll go out there and say it's something that it's not, and this like really blow it way out of proportion. And again, I don't say names here. You guys know that because all it does is cause issue. But I will tell you about the ideas and what they say. It's wrong. As simple as that. They should not be blowing this out of proportion when I could show you on that star chart that that's exactly what that object is. And they'll make it something that it's not. Every time. I mean, there's certain people out there, every time. It's like, what? Okay, well then when does Mercury show up? You know what I'm saying? But anyway, this is a side cut, and you're looking at the sun here and the Earth. Now remember, this is the IMF line that everybody talks about. Interplanetary magnetic field line, our connection to the sun. It's on these kinds of lines that the solar wind even gets here. Remember, it's not blowing like wind. It's charged particles. It's plasma, which is charged gas. Okay? That's all plasma is. It's the fourth state of matter. It's coming at us. How it gets here is on that connection line. That's why when I show you guys when I show you the phi angle, that's the polarity I'm talking about. The polarity of the solar wind changes. Negative to positive. It does it all the time. Okay? So that's why when I show you that and this right here, if you look at this, knowing that this goes from negative to positive, and then you go over here and you look at this, you can see how if that was to do that, how it could yank on that line a little bit, right? So it would affect our magnetic field. That's why. Okay? That's a very basic why. Okay? There's so much more involved, obviously. But, basics. Anyway, this here is our orbit stretched out in a straight line. It's this circular orbit around the sun. Okay? Stretched out in a straight line. So all three of these, we have to have all three of these really to pinpoint if it's going to hit us. It's saying it's going to hit us. Okay? You'll see a little blob pop up is what I call them. And you can definitely see where it does hit us. Even here, here, and here. So I don't think we're going to, So I don't think we're going to miss this one, is what I'm trying to say. So it should be here in the next few days. I'm not sure exactly how fast this one's moving. Judging just visually, looking at this, I don't write this down. But just visually, this doesn't look like it's a fast mover. Okay? But it, and it looked more of a plasma release. I can confidently tell you that there was no gigantic flare with that. Okay? How can I confidently tell you that? Well, look at the x-rays. Okay? What are we looking at here? We didn't even climb out of B range. This right here is probably when that happened. See this? This little hump right here? So it was most likely like a filament release, and I just simply couldn't see it. I didn't really dive right down onto the sun on the 304, because the 304, and we'll do that real quick, so you guys can look at that real quick, so you guys can get a good idea of what's happening. I just showed you guys this a minute ago. But the 304, when you're looking at this, look at the what you're looking for is like these dark shadowy lines. Okay, you can see the filaments dancing around here. You watch this. Okay. So the sun's active all over the place right now. And we knew that, right? This is where people let their guard down and they can really get caught off guard. See, look at our geomagnetic activity. Very, very low. All right? This is almost low enough that if we were to drop down to zero for, 6, 12 hours, the cosmic ray risk would go up. Okay? We have to have some geomagnetic activity to deflect some of these, or help us deflect cosmic rays. That's when we're talking about muons and stuff like that really can make people sick, but there has to be a lot of it. I mean, you really have to be exposed big time. But people that fly high latitudes, like I said before, further away from the equator, in high altitudes, cabin crew, pregnant people really have to pay attention to cosmic rays. It's essentially like giving you an X-ray, okay, at some level, depending on what day. And obviously, if they're not going to let somebody fly, if they're going to get exposed to an X-ray every time they fly, that's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying when they fly, I think it's like 800 hours, and they're not supposed to be exposed to that stuff, however so many hours or however so much. That's why you really need to take that into consideration if you are. Now, those of you that are already doing that, you probably already know that. So that's more for people that don't really fly a whole lot. And I would, pilots, I think, are required to check that if I'm not mistaken. But anyway, here's the Enlil model. Just like the NASA model I just showed you guys. It tells you historically 2 days behind us, and it tries to forecast out 5 days. What do we got here? You see this? This is density. So they're saying, density in like 4 to 5 days, there's going to be an uptick. All right. That could be that CME that blew off. Don't know. We can run the spiral model. I'm not going to waste your time with that because it's going to change. I might show it to you tomorrow, but it's going to change. Just being honest. No sense in even showing you something way out here when it's going to change. That's just something I had to learn. And I hope you guys, I don't want to like downplay what they're doing there because I think they do a good job. But I really think that, we just got to be more down to earth when we're talking about stuff like that. But anyway, this is ISWA over here. Now remember, a lot of people, including myself, when somebody would say ISWA, what do people think about? Most of us in this community, they're going to think about this. This is what they're looking at when they think about ISWA, right? This is the magnetopause model. All right, this is the magnetic field lines. Okay, these are the lines. So let me, I'm going to put this in play. Now, there's a lot of discussion around this model in general. Hey, Wolfie, I just seen you in there. I pulled my chat up for a second. Good to see you. All right, put my chat back away. I just wanted to check real quick. There's a lot of discussion around this model. Some people think it's junk. Some people think it's the best thing in the world. And some people don't have an opinion at all. I'm one of those people that fall into the category that I think it would be crazy to discount this model for the mere fact that it was used for so many years and it was pretty accurate for that time period. Okay. So that's what I would say. Now, at the very least, we have to understand that we can't just completely discount this thing because we know what this usually looks like, right? So when it's doing something that it's not usually doing, we can at least say, hey, maybe we should look at some other stuff. Okay? So I just want to say that first and foremost. Again, I'm not going to harp on it because it doesn't do any good. Whether I'm going to say it's good, bad, or indifferent. I do think that this thing is, we still need to look at it. Now, there are other magnetopause models I show you guys all the time, and the reason I show those, they're more updated. That's just why. That's simple fact. Okay? They did do some updates on this, and let me point them out to you guys real quick. Anybody that's been around for any time, they changed the polar lines that used to be black. They changed them to green. I don't know why they did that. I have no clue. They did an update on the tool, which makes me, that's the other thing too. If they're still doing updates on it, that means that they haven't thrown it in the trash, if you know what I mean. Why would they do an update on it if they're just not even worried about doing anything with it? Doesn't make any sense, does it? So that's the other clue to me that says, hey, this is still valid, at least at some level, okay? And I look at it every day. But yeah, and there for a long time, I used this one solely because I understood this one a lot better than what I did the other ones. Now I'm getting more comfortable with all of it. So that's why I'm, do what I do here. But again, the blue lines are our connection line to the sun and other planetary bodies or other objects or whatever you want to call them. But yeah, so you can see definitely some magnetic disruption right there. And, you know, those are pole lines, close field lines. But the blue lines are the ones that, you know, would be connecting us to the sun. When you see them getting broke like that, a lot of times, you know, we want to know if it's coming from right to left. The sun's to the right. And if you see waves coming in from the right side, you definitely can pretty much say, hey, that's why it's doing what it's doing. Now, if you don't see it coming in from there and it's coming in from the bottom or over here or whatever, then we can have a different discussion. But, you know, until, you know, we see that kind of stuff. And that's the other thing, like I said. But as you can see, it's still doing some stuff. But I hadn't shown you guys that one in a while. I just wanted to, you know, update you guys on that one. And so what I would do is I would show you guys this one in comparison. Okay, now the sun's off to the left. This is the newer replacement model. Eventually, that one I just showed you guys is going to go away. It's just that simple. And that's why I tried to get more familiar with this one. You know, it's newer technology. I'm going to say it's newer technology. They've been able to hone in their parameters, is the way I understood it. And you know, the tolerances and stuff that they used to take into consideration, that stuff's gotten tighter. We can see stuff here better. In other words, they say it's more accurate. That's all I'm saying. So this is velocity. Remember, this is all it's showing you is velocity, how fast it's moving. Okay, notice there ain't much going on. When you look at this, I can tell you right now, you're not going to see much on this. That's just what happens, guys. This is density, okay? The darker blue are higher dense areas. Remember, I'm going to pause this for a second because I haven't talked about this for a minute either. There was a while back, well, I'm not going to say who was saying it. I don't do that. Out there screaming, yelling, Earth shields are down. Earth shields are down. Earth shields are down. 911 is a joke in your town. You know, those kinds of things. The bow shock is still there. All this is telling you is that the density is roughly about the same on either side of that bow shock. Now, a lot of times when we see this, we'll see the bow shock because there's a drastic difference between what's in front of the bow shock and what's behind it. Or sometimes the bow shock can actually go off the screen here. It can get way out here and we won't even see it. Okay? Because it pushes out like that sometimes. So as I grab you can see what happens here. Okay? So, and the thing I want to point out, typically when we see higher dents, you're going to see lower speeds, and that's exactly what we're seeing. This is the pressure. This is what really most people want to see, because this really is what affects it. Well, it's like the cumulative what affects the whole thing. So as we're looking at this, we move forward, right? Nothing big going on. And again, this is why. Okay? I didn't expect to see anything going on there. Now this is Noah's predictions up here. They are saying we're going to have a 4 on the KP on the 28th. That's tomorrow. Well, no, it's 2 days from now. Sorry. Well, I guess it is technically the 27th UTC time. But you know what I'm saying, guys. So here in about 48 hours, we should have an uptick in geomagnetic activity. And it's coming from this coronal hole up here, the one that stays there all the time, north and south pole. It actually stretched down a couple days ago. Okay? And it was in front of us. Now remember, at this time of year, you got the equator, the sun, the Earth rides just a little bit above that equator of the sun. It's called the ecliptic. The ecliptic goes out from the equator of the sun all the way to the end of the solar system. Okay, and even further. All right, just like we have, let me find it. Where'd it go? Oh man, I clicked out. Okay, here it is. Just like we have this. Right? You see this? Magnetopause? Our magnetic field? Just like Earth is doing this, the sun's doing that in all directions for the whole solar system. Okay? So, yeah, that's actually what happens. And so it actually blocks a lot of the cosmic rays, which is why during solar minimum is why we get more cosmic rays. Because the sun's letting more in. It's not as active. You know, historically, if you go back and you look at the cosmic rays and the amount that we were getting, you go look at all that data, you will definitely see a correlation between that and solar minimum, solar maximum, those kinds of things. You'll see it fluctuate right with each other. And so even when we're in solar minimum, there are things to worry about. And like I said before, I don't want to say worry. That's a wrong word. I never say that word. There are things that we should be paying attention to. That's a better way to say it because that's really what it is. You know, so cosmic rays during solar minimum is probably one of the biggest things we should look at. And then, you know, behind that would be the off chance that you get a decent size CME or flare, because it does happen. I mean, you get some big ones that blow off sometimes. I think back in September 2019, I believe we had a pretty decent sized one. I don't think it came at us, but if it had, during, you know, because when the sun's weak or in solar minimum, our magnetic field gets weakened also. So with that being said, the sun helps protect us from the sun. I used to say that all the time because it's true. But at the same time, when it's down low like that, it can actually hurt us too. If it blows a big one and our shields are weak and it comes right at us, it's going to affect us more. It's as simple as that. And that's what we're talking about right now, because we know through historic data and through all the new data that's coming in, you know, we don't really have any other way to collect this stuff than to look at what we look at. So, you know, everything is pointing towards our magnetic field is roughly between 20 and 25% weaker than what it was. You know, like 10 years back, 10, 12 years back. I think even further. I'm not sure exactly what the time frame there, but it actually weakened quite quickly. And, you know, it's continuing to do so. We have to keep that in mind. So it's not going to take, and I don't say this as much as I used to, because I don't want to like instill some sort of a crying wolf type of scenario. You know, we need to make sure that we're paying attention to this. And, you know, when these things come at us, that's why I come out here and tell you about it. And you guys know I get fear-monger comments all the time. You know, and let me tell you something, guys. I appreciate you guys so much because I don't even have to say anything usually. You guys that are here all the time, you really, really do, you know, you got my back, and I can't tell you how much I appreciate that. I really do, because I won't say anything. I think that's the best way to handle stuff like that. The 2 times here in the past 2 or 3 months I addressed something that was in the comment section, as soon as I said something, it blew up into some big long thread feed. And that's why I don't do it. You know, I'm not going to get all nasty and stuff. I just won't do it. It just doesn't help. Even because in my opinion, when we're looking at this kind of stuff, and if I'm going to say something in the comment section, and I'm not going to say it in a rude way if I really want something to change. That's why it bothers me when I get people out here screaming at the top of their lungs at their viewers. It's like, what the heck? But anyway, you got this right here, guys. You got earthquakes, guys. We had a big one over here. You don't often see these red boxes pop up, but we'll take a look at that real quick. This is USGS over here. And the reason why you're seeing the red most likely is because this was offshore, but it was pretty close to shore. Okay, so you can see where that came in at. Heavy shaking. Now, you got anybody, again, that has been with me for any length of time knows when I show you guys this, I always say, look at this. If this is here, the tsunami wave thing, look at that first. And if there were any kind of warnings, I didn't see them. But sometimes if they go back out of warning condition, they'll make sure they change this. But the second thing I look at is the green box, the pager box. Okay, you're going to get the vital information right here that what most people want to know. You click on that, it takes you to estimated fatalities and estimated economic losses. Because that's really what we're all concerned with, right? Our fellow people that run around the planet. So this gives you a percentage and a number of what could happen there. And with this one, even with the heavy shaking, I don't think anybody was killed or anything like that. Probably not too much structural loss because it was out over the sea. Okay, it was out over the water. If I take you guys down into this real quick, we'll just do that real quick. Now it was close to shore. Okay, see where it's at? That's close enough. But to get that really, if that was to happen like underneath LA or something, we would have a mess. Or maybe a city that doesn't have all the earthquake codes for their buildings. That's what I would say there. Okay, so that is the data, guys. So anybody that want any more data, that's the end of the data. If you guys want to vote, cool. If not, Mark Pires is probably going to be on. If he ain't already on, you guys should go check him out. I got a new friend of mine too. Not new, Jerry Combs. He's one of my. I've known Jerry since before I started YouTube. Okay, I ran into his channel and we talked quite a bit, and he went off of YouTube for a while, and now he's doing the homestead thing and prepping and doing all those kinds of things. And he's starting a channel. I'm probably going to have him on the show here pretty quick, but he's doing some good things down in Tennessee, and he wants to share that with people and show people what he's doing in case things happen. And I think it's a good thing. I really do. I've always said that about prepping. Just like Rip. Rip is a great dude. You guys know that. I'm right behind Rip, man. He's awesome. And, Rip Curl Readiness is his channel name. But the other channel name, you know what, guys? I'll take you guys out here in a minute. But Jerry, his is Big Dreams Little Homestead, I believe is the name of the channel. Don't quote me on that yet. I'll double check. It was a longer name. That's why I couldn't remember it. I've been checking out some. He just started it about a month ago. So there's probably, I don't know, 10, 12, maybe 15 videos on there. And he's, it's worth watching. Okay? It is. So, and I think I'm going to have him on the show. I may even bring Rip on either the same day or the same time. I don't know. That's kind of my goal. I want to get like a group of preppers in at the same time. So you guys can kind of get an idea of what's going on with that. Maybe some good info. All that, But to the earthquake stuff, guys, go check out Emergency Management Associates over at Ron. Go check out Terry over at Feed the Sheep. He does a good job. They're all doing good jobs, guys. Go check out Marf Fugel. Most of you guys know who Marf is, okay? And I'm complacent in the fact I should be saying his name a lot more every time I mention everybody else, because he has helped me. He helped build my channel a little bit, or quite a bit. I've been on his show quite a bit. Call-ins. I was a special guest over there about a week ago. We were talking about the moon wobble and all that stuff around that. And I've been a Fugel fan for a long time. I'm not gonna go into that, but go check out Mark Fugel, guys, and everybody else. Everybody else that, wish I could just say everybody's name. I forget people's all the time. Sometimes I forget about just like all of it. It's crazy. I think what I'm going to do, tell me if you guys would appreciate this. Like during like my outro, I'll make a little small outro, and I'll just like scroll through all the channels I go to, and I'll put that in an outro for like 30 seconds, and that way you guys can know. Maybe throw some links in there or something. But check out all the links in my description too. But I do want to talk about something else real quick, okay? I'm still getting questions about this, and I want to cover it one more time. All right. Wind direction, storm systems. Okay, so look, just hear me out here. Give me 5 minutes here, and we'll cut it, okay? But this is windy.com right now. This is a live from windy.com. Anybody can go here. You can put it in the globe model if you want. I guess I could do that here. I'd have to change it in my set. I'm not going to mess with it right now. Oh, here it is. Okay, so there's your globe model. It's in beta, I think. I'm not sure if the pressure bars are there. That's really what I wanted to show you. So I'm going to go back to the 2D, okay? Just for this purpose. You'll see here in a minute. Okay. So, I was getting a lot of questions about, direction of spin for storm systems. Now, I'm not talking about polar vortex, okay? The polar vortex is very real, and it's very screwed up right now, okay? And that really does drive the weather, okay? And, we're talking about these big polar vortexes or jets, whatever you want to call them, that come down through here, and they cause a lot of our issues, right? Give us a lot of our weather. Especially over here in the States, we get affected by it quite often. Well, the whole world does, just to be honest. But here's the United States. So we get this stuff happening, right? So we can go look at the South Pole, and anybody can look at that and be like, oh my gosh, that's kind of haphazard, isn't it? Or we can go up here and we can look at the North Pole, and it just doesn't look. This right here is probably the main driving force. I would imagine that's probably right about the North Pole. I'm not going to look at latitude and stuff, but that's, yeah. So you see how it all spreads out, right? Well, the question was being asked about me to me through some emails and stuff. I address this again, but storm systems in the direction that they turn. I mean, there's a lot of stuff, and there's actually a lot of myths that people think are true, and it's not. Like, it's a myth that your toilet flushes the opposite direction in the southern hemisphere than what it does in the north, okay? Now, a lot of people want to say, well, Coriolis effect makes your toilets do that. No. It's not even what it is. Just do it. I mean, type it in Google, and you'll figure it out real quick what's actually causing that. If that's actually happening to your toilet. So, it's more about how it's made than than any kind of Coriolis effect that we could ever put onto it, right? So as we're looking at this, in the northern hemisphere, low pressure spins counterclockwise. Okay, you see the low pressures here? Now, I think what's happening is, you see this little button over here? It says pressure. I'm going to click that off. Now look at this. You do not know whatsoever what's low and high pressure. But you can still see that things are spinning. You can see where the things are spinning. So when you see things over here like things right next to each other, spinning opposite directions, when you get a high and a low pressure next to each other, they're going to spin in opposite directions. That's the reason. Okay? So high pressure in the north spins clockwise. High pressure in the south spins counterclockwise. And vice versa for the low pressure. That's just what it does. Okay, so I'll put the pressures back on here. You see the high pressure moving to the right? And now let's go south of the border. See the high pressure here? Moving to the left. Counterclockwise and clockwise. This is why. This is normal. This kind of stuff is normal. Now the polar jet stream and all that, those kinds of things that are getting all moved around and jacked up for a whole lot of reasons. No, that stuff isn't normal. Okay? That's not what I'm saying is normal. What I'm saying is normal is the fact that you got two storm systems, I don't even call them storm systems, just weather systems here, that are spinning opposite direction right next to each other. That is normal. Okay, so if you were looking here, just in this one little area, and you walked over here like this, or somebody was showing you this. I think this is probably what's happening. I'm not sure who was talking about this particular thing, but I keep getting emails about it. So if you're looking at this and you're seeing things right next to each other, you don't know what pressure it is, and yes, that would look weird to you. Right? Well, this is the explanation for it. The pressure. If you don't believe me, well, let's do this. Right here. I'll leave this link in my description box. I haven't put it there yet. But, you see this right here? This is high pressure. Okay? High pressure, in a high pressure system, things are moving down and out like that. Okay? When things in a low pressure, things are moving up. Okay? So let me explain why. Now, like the pressure I'm talking about, believe it or not, guys, we have like, I think it's 14 something pounds of pressure on us at all times that we don't know that we're feeling it because we're used to it. We're getting pushed on. So you take that pressure away, what would happen? Yeah, I mean, we would feel different, right? So that's why sometimes our bodies can feel storm systems. This is why we feel storm systems. Part of it. And then some of it would be magnetism and all those other things we talk about. But a lot of it's this. This is why our bodies feel this. So let me, oh, there it is, right there. 14.7 pounds per square inch is what we experience. That's what they would consider normal for us, right? So, it says right here, a low pressure system has lower pressure at its center than the areas around it. Okay, so the center of that is lower pressure. That's why the wind is moving up. Okay, so you take this effect and you add Coriolis to that, the fact that we're spinning, okay, in the northern hemisphere, it would cause this. It would cause that low pressure to spin that direction, counterclockwise in the northern, clockwise in the southern. And there's some other things involved too, okay? High pressure does the exact opposite. The pressure's higher in the middle, and that's why it gets pushed down. Okay? So that's... Sorry, coughing there a little bit. But yeah, so that's why, guys. It's really that simple. There's not really much to say. And if you think it's kind of crazy and we shouldn't, I get thinking that, when this is this pressure button's off, that this would not be what we should see. I get it. Because I would be thinking the same way if I didn't know already. I was a weather nut when I was a kid, and I've said that before, but this is why, okay? So we have to understand that when we're talking about this stuff. And there's reasons for it. Now, again, if people still don't believe, if they think this is something we shouldn't be seeing, and it was just now starting to do this, you guys can go back, and I'm not going to pull any of the links. You can do it. It's not hard. Just go to Google and hit Weather Channel from the 1990s or 1980s and go look at a weather map. And you'll find exactly what I just showed you was still going on 40 years ago as far as the storm systems next to each other. Now, and it really boggles the mind sometimes to think that like somebody's really trying to tell people this. So I'm assuming that's what, I don't know where this is coming from. That's what really got me puzzled, but you got this right here, these two systems where they come together because they're spinning opposite directions. See what color that is? The winds are moving faster. It's like being in a city and the winds are faster in between the buildings. This is that exact same phenomenon. Okay? They're both spinning in the same direction. So when they're closer to each other, a lot of times, that's when we get our big windstorms. These high pressure systems will push low pressures out of the way, and it'll drive stuff down through us. We've all seen the weather maps, right? These big troughs that come down through here, and they're moving weather systems around. So you can see right here, right now in the United States, things are really, really like kind of quiet. And when you see these things, like these big dips right here, notice how the high pressure stuff is this, the low pressure is there too, but we're getting stuff sucked up right here. That's why the heat wave and stuff is going on. So, yeah. It's exactly what's going on. And it does affect our climate. I just have to say it straight up. We see these kinds of things continue over periods of time, years at a time. I mean, we would be crazy to think that some of this stuff, like the snow melt and stuff, wouldn't add to the surface water, right? I mean, that was actually kind of part of what the moon wobble thing was about. Because they're saying because the water levels are coming up, that when that natural moon wobble cycle comes through, it's at that particular time that they think they're going to see coastal flooding in lots of areas. So that was the basis behind why the article and the study was done. But yeah, so that's just kind of what's going on, So you see the big low pressure up here. And I want to say something too, guys. If you guys don't know about the equator, you're probably asking, well, what direction does a storm system spin at the equator? Because it would make sense to you, right, that if the northern hemisphere spins one direction, the southern spins the other. Well, what happens right in the middle? Well, if you guys go look up hurricanes and typhoons and stuff like that, they don't form at the equator. They're all, I think it's like 5 or 7 degrees latitude. Either way, they don't form here. They don't. They form outside of that. Now they can cross the equator because they're already formed. And a lot of times they'll get what they call wind shear and things slowing down. The upper jets change, all those kinds of things. It'll weaken or strengthen certain storms. Now, again, the main driving force behind the strength of a hurricane would most definitely be, in my opinion, the temperature of the water. I mean, that's a big player. Okay, it's a big player in a lot of things. And and again, we'll go into other subjects later on. I've talked about the Gulf Stream. I can give you a little quick thing there too if you guys want to hear it. Actually, this is a really good place to show you. We've all heard the song, Redwood Forest, the Gulf Stream waters, right? Well, the Gulf Stream waters is part of an underground or underwater current system globally. Just like we have air doing this up here, our oceans are doing the same thing underneath. But they're doing it in very specific patterns, and they stay pretty close to that pattern. Which is why the Gulf Stream, when it's changing, is a big deal. Because it starts down here, right? See where my cursor is? And it works its way up. It goes all the way up here, down and around. Okay? We're doing this right here. See my cursor here? And we're going down and around, and it does one of these numbers. It comes back over. Basically, it's doing what this high pressure system is. But it's actually stretching out further north. Under the water. Now, I'm going to point something out. London is roughly right there. Okay? Where's Moscow? About right here. If I'm looking at this right. Yeah, about right here. Somewhere close. Okay? It might be a little bit, maybe 1 or 2 degrees north, I think. But I think Moscow and London are almost directly on the same latitude. So you have to ask yourself, why does Moscow get these very, very brutal winters, but yet London doesn't see any of that? See how close they are together? They're just as far north as each other. So what's the difference? Well, the difference is the Gulf Stream water. It drags all this warm water up here, and it actually affects the climate enough, it keeps these guys from getting those big, massive winters consistently. Makes sense, right? And there's other stuff involved there too when you're talking about, and what happens is when this stuff really gets up here, and if we've got more like glacier melt and stuff like that, it changes the salinity of the water. Salinity is the salt content, basically. And the salt content will cause the water to become a different viscosity, number one. Number two, it'll cause the temperature of it to change. You guys ever made ice cream? In a hand-cranked ice cream maker, what do? You put salt in the ice, right? Because it makes it colder. It's just what it works. So that's what's going on, right? So that's the Gulf Stream, and it's actually, we're seeing changes in this thing, and it's really actually kind of, well, concerning, I guess. That's just another thing we're looking at. But yeah. So, but I want to clarify that as far as the thing. This will be the last time I talk about this high-low pressure thing. I got like 6 emails in less than 3 days. I haven't looked at my emails for a couple days, but I just wanted to make sure everybody's seen this, and we're not going to talk about it at least for a good while. I'll just point you to the video if you guys get questions on that. So, let's see here. So, yeah. I'm not sure if Mark's live or not. He might be. Guys, if you guys want to go over and give Mark some love, do it, please. I'm sure he could use a boost. Make him happy, you know. People that try to get out here and do the positive thing like Mark does, he tries not to be negative, but I guarantee you he feels some of that, okay? And it does help him and everybody else if we do, go over to show some positivity towards him and everything else and everybody else involved also. I mean, it's not like let's do this. Let's go here. I'm not sure if he's live right now or not. He probably, yeah, I think he is. So here he is right here. Let me do this. I'm going to share it. Copy. Here it is in the live chat. Okay, guys, he's in my description box also. So go give him some love, guys. Let him know, all right? Yeah, and Axe, he does a channel too. I'm going to have Axe on too. I know we've been talking about that for a while, but it's right now is just really hard for me. Okay? So, but yeah, so if you guys want to listen to some good music and hang out with some good people over there, there are. It's really good people. So just know that. Everybody's positive over there. He writes songs on the fly, good comedy, all that kind of stuff, right? So we haven't did a love bomb on him in a minute. So if you guys want to go over there for a minute, I would appreciate it, and so would he. I know he would. So yeah, guys. Same thing with Axe. Go check him out. Anybody's channel that I mentioned, please go check him out. And anyone that I mentioned in the past, just we got to support each other. And my channel, believe it or not, guys, is kind of an oddity in the fact that I don't monetize. But I've been able to build a channel with the help, massive help, from other people. Okay? That's what it takes in our community. That's what it takes. We have to be there for each other. So, and Christine's in there too. Nacho, what's up? So, Christine's in here. She does a channel. All the above, right? I will say this. Mark's been having some issues over here, guys. Axe, you can drop your link in there too. If you need to. Nacho, she does YouTube, and so does Axe, all that. But Mark's been having problems. His internet's been cutting in and out a lot. So if you go over there and he ain't there for a second, just come back if you would. But anyway, guys, I am going to get over here. Hey, what's up? Who's saying hi to me? Free Life. Hey again, what's up, guys? Got it? Awesome, guys. Awesome. Good to see everybody. So, But I do appreciate all you guys, and it looks like they kicked him off again. I don't want to say they. Okay, I'm not trying to say they. What I'm trying to say... Is he back? Nope, I went to the next video. He's been having local issues with his internet. Okay? So I'm not saying they. I don't mean to say it like that. But, yeah. Looks like he lost his connection there for a minute. But yeah, guys, please go support. And, yeah. We got CMEs heading our way, and we'll just talk about other things as they come along. Something big happens. You know, obviously, I'm going to jump out here and at least let you guys know. I am making my best effort, guys. And I'm going to say this one more time. To really put all the data stuff at the front. Okay, even if I live stream. But I'm going to intentionally try to do a recorded 10-minute or less data every day. Okay, I might take a day off in the weekend. Because if I got my tabs and stuff set up right, I can do it pretty quick. I just got to get to a place in my mind and in my house where I'm not distracted. So, just know that, guys. I love all you guys. I really hope. And go check out Jerry, like I said, my boy Jerry. I tell you what, I just had, daggone it. Let's do this. He's here. Let me do this real quick. I should have done that already. Half of you guys probably left, but that's okay. Okay, so here is his latest video right there. That's his little homestead he's got going on, guys. I'm going to pause it right there. So please go over and give him some love. And again, guys, we got to support each other. And this is what we got to do, right? So here's his link. Go check him out. My brother Jerry over there doing his thing with his wife and his kid. And they're doing some, they got a little house over here. They got some good land over here. They got stuff going on. They hydroponics, all that stuff. I mean, they're really getting it going on. So, check him out if you guys would. Let him know you're there from Wages World. I'll be talking to him on the phone tomorrow morning anyway. But let him know it came from me. Go over and give him some love, and we're going to move on, right? If Mark comes back on, guys, you guys will see me over there probably in the chat. So, we'll just have to roll like that. But, let's do this here real quick. Okay, so, anyway. All right, before we get out of here, anybody got any questions? Anybody still here, I guess I should say. People start going, leaving the room when I start winding down like that. They know I'm getting ready to do it. Hey, Tab. Hey, Menacing, what's up? Why is it not good to see sunspots in the southern hemisphere? Why is it unusual? That is a very good question, and I have an answer for you. Okay? What we'll do is I'll go here real quick, and we will go to this one. Yep. All right. It's not that it's bad. Okay, let me say that first and foremost. It's more so unusual. Okay, now, in order to understand what I'm getting ready to say, you have to understand what how a sunspot is formed. And I'm going to give you a very, very quick, very, very basic. Okay, we can go deeper later. But right here, this is just going to be very basic on how a sunspot is, why we even see them. We got to remember that the sun is not a rock. Okay, it's plasma. So, and the other thing that we have to know here is, talking about magnetics. Positive, negative, or negative and positive. When those two switch, they switch roughly about every 11 years. And that's our sun cycle. That's what we call our sun cycle. The equator of the sun rotates at a greater speed than what the poles do. About from here down and from here up, they're rotating at different speeds than what's happening at the equator. So picture this: positive, negative. You got magnetic lines when we first switch sun sun cycle, right? When it flips. It's a bar magnet, basically. The lines are going vertical because the equator of the sun spinning faster than what the poles are. It starts to stretch those lines. Okay? They start doing one of these numbers. I got graphics I can show, but I have to go dig them out. But as the sun's cycle progresses, they eventually, almost all of them become almost completely horizontal. And as that's happening, remember, the plasma travels on magnetic connection lines, right? So what is that? Well, that's a filament. Okay, it's a magnetic connection line. So when we're seeing these things, what's happening is the magnetic connections here, the line itself has gotten pulled horizontal, and sometimes it gets a kink in it. It gets wound up and kinked. That's a very basic explanation for this, but it gets kinked and it pops through the surface, and that's what you see as a sunspot. Now, as to why the hemisphere is not so much about the southern or the northern, it's about how far away it is from the equator. When the sunspot cycle first begins, the sunspots will be closer to the poles in the north and the south. Okay? Now, 95% of all sunspots, I believe, yes, 95%, are inside 30-degree latitude from the equator of the sun. We just had one that was 43. So that tells you how rare it is. It's unusual. Okay? So we had one way up here. It might have even been this one. I think it was. Okay? It lost its designation as a sunspot pretty quick, but it popped up and was a sunspot, and that's what's going on. Now, I don't know what latitude these are at, but these look kind of far south too. So if these start getting, named as sunspots, that would be outside of that 30 latitude, I would think, down this far. But as the sunspot cycle progresses, they will migrate closer and closer to the equatorial regions. Do you anticipate it to continue to pick up and be more active this cycle versus last cycle? That's a good question, Brittany. And there's a lot of discussion around that. Now, this cycle, if you go back and you look at historic data and we kind of compare what we should be seeing, it should be not as active, okay? But we can't forget, number one, our magnetic field is 20 to 25% weaker than what it was. So it doesn't take as much of a hit from the sun to give us a big jolt, okay? Number two, there is something, and we talked about this, the termination event. Now, I know it sounds very daunting and like, whoa, what is that? Well, all it is that, those horizontal lines I was talking about, well, when you get a positive and negative one and they meet directly at the equator, what happens is they call that a termination event. Now, we won't see it happen. If it happens, there won't be no big explosion, no big eruption, none of that stuff. None of that will happen. And it could have already happened and we don't know it yet. All right? Because I was starting to question, after I say this, you'll understand why. When we had those 6 sunspots this early in the cycle, all it does is it hyperactivates the sun cycle and makes it really strong. Okay? It gets really, really active. That's what that termination event does. Now, there were some peer-reviewed papers and some studies that came out by some pretty respected scientists, 2 of them I think it was. They kind of stepped out of the natural, what's accepted and what people think. A lot of the scientists don't think or think that that's actually going to happen this sun cycle or whatever. And they said, hey, if we get that termination event, this sun cycle could actually be very, very big. So I'm going to have to, watch it. Hey, Siggy, what's up? I just sent everybody over to Mark's and his stream went down. So I don't know what's going on, man. Anyway, but yeah, so to answer your question, sorry, that took a minute to explain. I hope that helps. as far as why, it's unusual. It's not bad. Now, again, this one that just blew was down here. Let me show you. See it? Notice you didn't see much of a flare with it. Now, one thing we can do before I get you guys off here, let me update that, see what happens. Yeah, we got some more stuff to look at here. Oh, I didn't show you guys seeds. Daggone it. So when the filament breaks, that's a CME? Basically, yes. Okay, it's an eruption is what we call it. Because a filament, like I said, it's like an incandescent light bulb. That filament's in the middle of that, it generates the light. Because it's intentionally causing resistance. They send electricity through it, and they make it have a friction and resistance right there in the middle of that filament. That's what gives you the light. That's also why it puts off heat. Okay, that's why our lamps and stuff put off heat. That's why LEDs and stuff are better, because they do a whole lot better of a job. But anyway, when that filament busts in a light bulb, what happens? Well, your light goes out. So if this filament's stretched out and it breaks, well, sometimes it gets ejected out. Not always. But some of that plasma will get ejected out. And yes, that's pretty much a CME. But the sun can actually, like this one, is a very good example, actually, right here. I didn't see much of a filament there. Now, I could be wrong. I'm not sure 100% here yet. But as you watch this, I don't really see a whole lot of filamental action going on. And it just looks like it erupted. Wham. Okay? So it just became unstable. Something reacted right there. Not sure. But, yeah. Hope that helps. Hey, IG, what's up? So, yeah. Anyway. Any more questions? I hope that helps. Man, this thing I really do. I hope that helps. So, yeah, it would be a good question, Melissa. How plasma ejected would affect our bodies? Well, here's the thing. Our magnetic field almost 100% of the time blocks most of it. Okay? That's why we talk about, as far as the plasma. Now, when we're talking about the sun affecting our body, we're talking more about UV rays and X-rays and things like that. Now, yes, geomagnetic storms can affect us. Okay? It's adding magnetism, electrons, all that stuff. Right? Well, cool. I appreciate your questions. I really do. I can feel it when the sun's throwing it. Yeah, some people can. Okay? 100%. Some people can. You might not feel it right away, but once all that energy does get here. Now remember, again, hey Anna, what's up? We have to understand that, our magnetic field really does, Earth does a really good job of blocking most of it and deflecting it. I don't want to call it blocking, okay, because that's really not what's happening. It's really just a deflection action and absorption at the same time. Okay, and again, there's a lot of science behind that. And it does generate heat. It's called induction heating, and it helps cause some of the earthquake stuff that we see. There's a thing called the global electric circuit. I mean, there's all kinds of different things that involve all this. And the one thing to remember is plasma being a fourth state of matter, you have to understand it has a charge. So it acts, basically it's very much like electricity. That's how it's moving. Okay? So, yeah. The perfect system, really, yeah. It takes a lot, guys. So the magnetic crack that was in the sun. Oh, the magnetic crack in our magnetic field. The other day, there was a story on that. I think spaceweather.com reported on that. We did catch some geomagnetism that we didn't think was going to be there at that time, and the way it was reported, I didn't dig into it, so I can't say 100%. But we do get cracks in our magnetic field. Okay, just understand that. The magnetic field does not drape over us like a blanket. Okay? The magnetic field is very, very, very variable. Very, 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 very variable. Say it 10 times fast. Anyway, across the whole globe. We got something called the South Atlantic Anomaly. Where's that at? Well, here we go. Here, I'll show it to you. Down here. They have very serious issues using compasses down here. And this anomaly has been shown to us split now, and there's almost 2 of them, and it's growing. Why is it doing that? Well, there's a lot of different things being talked about on that end of it. You talk about the pole reversal or magnetic excursions, just anything else that's going on, right? All of it. Now, I will say this, like I said, if we do want some activity, guys, it helps get our system stronger. We just don't want to have the big one smack us when we're weak. Okay? Yeah, Dana says a really good thing there, for sure. Planes will crash and all that. They've had issues like that. And again, those of us that live here in the States, we've all heard of the Bermuda Triangle. And they think that that's what's going on there sometimes. So just remember that the magnetic field does get cracks in it. How do we usually know that? Well, a lot of times when we get these cracks in our magnetic field and we're getting whatever geomagnetism from the sun, it allows more in, and we'll see aurora in those places. Okay, so remember, the aurora typically hangs around the poles. When you start seeing it get way down here, what they call mid-latitudes, we know we're getting hit pretty hard usually. Sometimes it happens when these holes do open up. They'll close back up, but this is also why... Did I already shut down? I did. Sorry. The BZ here. You see the BZ? I've talked about this 100 times. About the BZ. That's the angle at which we get hit, right? That angle is big time. That really affects it a lot, how hard we get hit. You can think of it like if you were on the battlefield and you had a shield and somebody was trying to hit you from the left and you went right, it kind of hit you harder, right? Your shield got moved. So our shield moved. It let stuff in, or it got a crack in it. Say you were on the battlefield in Roman times and somebody cracked your shield. The next arrow hits that same spot is going to come through a lot easier. Right? So just kind of know that, right? I mean, that's really how you have to look at it. Just know that it's not a constant around our planet. Now, as we're sitting here talking, see this? We've had another eruption somewhere. I don't know. That just happened, by the way, guys. So I don't know where that's at. We can do this real quick, though. Let's go to ISWA. We'll take a look at it real quick. I don't think it's going to show us much, but we'll see. Did it update? They say if the 2 auroras meet. Here's the thing, Menacing. What I would say about that is, auroras don't have a specific spot. Aurora don't claim real estate. It's not always there. So there's really nothing to meet. Aurora can pop up wherever it wants. If the magnetic field is opened up enough or cracked wherever and those particles get in. They interact with the oxygen and nitrogen molecules typically. And what you're seeing is those molecules going back to their stable state. And as they're doing such, they're producing those colors. That's why with nitrogen it's red or pink. With oxygen it's green. Okay, so they're not like migrating to each other. Now, probably what you're hearing there, Menacing, is that would be like, some sort of big, huge flare. CME hits us. And yes, during the Carrington event, they seen aurora down at the equator. So, if you see it at the equator, can you say it came from the south or the north? No, all you could really say is we've seen it at the equator. So they're not like, it's not like the poles like migrating towards each other. That happens. But aurora isn't there unless we have those kinds of things happening. So I hope that helped. I know I kind of was a little bit over the board, a little all over the wall there, but hey, Third, what's up? Namaste, what's up, Russ? How you doing? Linda. Yeah, Linda's touching on something there. Noah's getting a new computer and all that. The other day, guys, I was on the any Noah site you were going to. It was jumping around all over the place. It really was. I think they were doing some maintenance or maybe even changing some of their software and stuff at that time. Cool, menacing. Glad I could help. And again, guys, don't take anything I say for 100% fact. Go look at it for yourself. And that I say that every video, but I truly mean that. Because, even though I think I'm correct on what I'm saying, sometimes I can be wrong. And unfortunately, what we have is a lot of people running around thinking that they can't be wrong. The very thing that we talk about as far as what we're looking at here, it's basic science stuff, right? Well, what's a scientist supposed to be? You're supposed to be skeptical of everything. The second you think you know everything about something is the second you stop learning about it. So if you think you're 100% right about a specific thing, and you don't ever revisit it and look at it with clear, unmessed up, uninfluenced eyes, you can never learn anything new. And I would hate to be the guy that's out here screaming and yelling one specific thing and it not be the way that it is. And that's why I will never ever talk in 100% anything. Right? Even when I think I'm completely right. Like when we were, talking about the wind here, the windy thing with the low and high pressure. If somebody can show me something that would change the way I think or add something to it, I would definitely listen. And I would listen openly. And that is the truth. I try my best. Now, don't get me wrong, I make mistakes, and I think sometimes I actually catch myself doing those kinds of things. And then I'll correct myself. We're not perfect. We're going to make those mistakes. But at the same time, one thing I can promise you guys, I'm not going to come out here and scream and yell at you guys. I just think it doesn't do any good. If I really want you guys to hear me, why would I scream at you? Or come out here and say I'm the only one with the answers. It doesn't make any sense to do those kinds of things. Because I really truly think that people shut down. Darn, what's your question? Back at you, Z. Michael, I am doing my show, bud. I did all the data and stuff at the beginning for people that just wanted that. I'm just kind of answering questions now. Well, Don, if you type it in there in the next couple seconds here, and I'll see if I can help you. Anybody else got any questions? Yeah, Trish. I don't know if they're cutting him or not. I was talking about that earlier because I think he's been having lots of issues, Trish, with his internet. Did a recent flare pop off? I think one just did. That's what I was trying to get to here to see if it did. Something popped off just now as I was talking to you guys. Not this one. I already showed you guys that one. if it rained, is that a good thing because it blocked the sun? It just depends. It's not so much about the rain. It would be more cloud cover. Just keep in mind, listen, like UV rays, you know, when you were a kid and your mom said, "Oh, it's cloudy outside, you ain't gonna get sunburnt." Yeah, that's funny, menacing. Yeah, for sure. But she would say, "Hey, oh, it's cloudy outside. You don't need sunburn or sunscreen. You go outside and you get burnt." How's that happen? Well, because the UV is still getting through. So, although water is a very good like blocker of things, because that's one of the things that they're trying to figure out, so they can get like a crew to Mars or all that. Water could actually block the solar weather from hitting them. Okay, so if they could figure out a way to like encase the whole ship or whatever in water, they could probably make it. Yeah, I would agree with that third in line. The sun is definitely hot, whiter than what I remember it ever being. And again, there's so many things that could be causing any of that. And I think that, and the thing of it is, it ain't just those of us in this kind of a community. Everybody's really talking about it, even mainstream. It's not. Yeah. Now, just remember that when we're looking up at the sun, we're looking through lenses, okay? As far as clouds, atmosphere, all that stuff affects it, okay? So the question is the sun changing in that way, or is our atmosphere and what we've got hanging around in our atmosphere changing? All those things, or is it a combination of both? Is it even something we should worry about? All those questions come up, and I don't really have a really, really good answer on that, but I don't know where to go with that because there's so many different ideas. So yeah. Look, what up, Ty? What you wanting to see? Where's Ty at? He asked a question up here. Sun too powerful? I don't know if I said that. If I did, I didn't mean to, or was misunderstood. The sun is just the sun, I mean, we could be ramping up in our sun cycle, and we could get very active, and stuff could get more intense. But as far as if you're wanting to know, like the sun cycle itself, why it's weaker and then gets stronger, weaker and stronger, you can go to any website, like right here. This is NOAA. Check this out. I can show this to you right here. You go over here to NOAA, and you just scroll down. Here's your sunspot number. And you can take this graph right here. If you grab it right here, you move it back, you can go back 200 years. You guys see what that is? I haven't shown you guys this, I don't think. Not back this far. Look what happens. It's a natural progression, guys. You can see a clear pattern. There's absolutely no question it's on a cycle. Up, down, up, down, up, down. So, you know what I mean? And this is just speaking to the number of sunspots. This is not telling you how powerful they were. It's not telling you how many flares that blowed or anything like that. All this is saying is these are the number of sunspots. Because back in the day, you're looking back here in 1775, if they were looking up, they would have to be looking through a telescope with some sort of filter, those kinds of things. I'm not even sure they could even do it back there. I don't know how they're getting their numbers there. But, here in the early 1900s, they were just simply using filters on the telescopes and things. So yeah. But yeah. But this is the last sun cycle here, sun cycle 24. And you can see, and we're even kind of patterned back to the last sun cycle. Faraday cages. Let me address that real quick. Can I address that real quick? And I'm just going to give you my opinion about Faraday cages. Faraday cages are probably a good idea for peace of mind, I guess I would say. But if we have the quote-unquote grid down type of thing, I would say that the Faraday cages you're using would have to be rock solid. Okay? Because you got to think about it this way, guys. We had, let's see here. What was I getting ready to say there on that? Well, I'm going to skip that. I don't want to talk about that right now. But the Faraday cages themselves, you know, back in the Carrington event, for example, you know, you had telephone wires, well, not telephone, but telegraph wires burning up. You had, they were actually able to send telegraphs during that time, even though they weren't plugged in. Okay, think about that for a second. Some of the handheld stuff, some of the equipment was like catching on fire in people's hands. So I don't know. Something on fire gonna hit Michigan. I don't know about that, bossy wife. Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know. Hey, Amber. Yeah, you know, I don't know that I go that far, third, in my own opinion, okay? I'm speaking just flat out opinion, guys, okay? You know, if we do get hit with a big one, I don't know that we can really protect our stuff. I really don't. But I can't, you know, from in just the way that I look at it, I can't say that it won't either. But again, I think people need to do what makes them feel comfortable. I really do. I truly hold to that. Yeah. Siggy here. Yeah, Sig makes a really good comment there. Thanks, brother. You know, we were just talking about the color of the sun, right? That is being very much affected by the sand dust storms coming off of Africa. That happens every year. Now, the past few years, it seems to have gotten a little bit more intense. So when you're seeing, like, especially when the sun, like over here, when you're seeing the sun come up, you're going to see a very, very brilliant sun. Because you're looking through our atmosphere that's riddled with some sand. Okay? So it changes the wavelength of light that you see. It's essentially like getting a camera and putting a solar filter on it or any other kind of filter that we use. So, yeah. And again, guys, like I said, when it comes to the prepared thing, I always say this. Go to where you're comfortable and then go one step further and stop. Always listen to people's advice, but at the end of the day, you got to trust yourself and trust what you think is going on. And if you can lay your head down every night and be okay, that's where you need to be. I don't think that, you know, if we're going to talk about like planet killing stuff, there's nothing we're going to do to stop it. All right, so you don't worry about it. You just can't. Although I said this for a long time, don't worry about things you cannot control. It doesn't do you any good. Matter of fact, it makes things worse. But there are a lot of good ideas with the Faraday cages and stuff like that. I've seen, like the EMP shields and like we were just talking about a minute ago. But I've also seen like big car tarps that people use that are connected and grounded out. So I don't, I'm really not an expert on any of that. It's just an opinion, Exactly, third in line. Last sentiment, exactly. Be prepared. Yes. Follow your own sensibility. 100%. Trust your gut. That's essentially what you said. And I think that that's what we all can do. So, and at the end of the day, like I said, people get on me all the time about jumping off on the side subjects. And this is why I did all the stuff at the beginning. So just know that. But yeah, I just think that, and this is the stuff that, like what we're talking about now, that a lot of people won't give you a whole lot of time to talk about. This is basically a question and answer right now. And I think that that's, for a lot of people, that is very beneficial. And that's why I told everybody at the beginning, it's going to be at the beginning, and then we'll talk afterwards. We'll go more in depth, and that's exactly what we're doing. So I hope to be able to hold this like this for these kinds of streams. And I'm not going to stream every day, just so you guys know. Right now I don't have the time for that. But yeah. My kids don't know anything. They can't get Google. Okay. You bring up a good point about that technology and stuff, like Google and things. I think, in my opinion, the internet in general is the best and worst thing that could have ever happened. If it was to be used the correct way, it would have been the best thing ever. But unfortunately, things always that are good get yanked around. How many times a week do I stream, Ty? It varies because, like I said, I got a family and I take care of them first, and this comes second. People ask me why. Well, the main reason is, guys, this isn't my job. I don't monetize, and I don't typically say that a whole lot anymore because I don't think it's. I'm not trying to be out there saying, "Oh, I don't monetize. Look at me." You know what I'm saying? I'm not doing that. It's not why I'm here. I'll tell people when they ask, and if it's appropriate to talk about it, I will. I'm not hiding the fact that I don't monetize. But there's reasons why, like I said, I'm not here. This isn't my job. That's not why I do this, And again, I just, there's a reason I can use those songs at the beginning of my stream. You guys know why? I don't monetize. Cool, Ty. Appreciate you. Really do. Those songs, I can use those because I'm not getting any revenue from ads. So what happens is, if you guys don't know, YouTube changed their terms of service, and they can put ads on any video that they want. They don't have to have our permission. We don't have to push no monetize button. So what happens is, like, we'll be having this stream or whatever, if something hits you on an advertisement or something, that goes to YouTube. Or it goes to that sponsor. So when I play a song, like I played Cheap Trick, The Flame at the beginning of this, and what that is, that the reason why I'm able to do that is because they will get the revenue from that, not me. Whoever owns the rights to that song, they get that revenue, not me. If the ads play, they would get anything made from the ads, not me. Yeah, Christine, you mentioned that. You get you get emails and stuff. It'll say it's a. there's a bunch of different types of claims. Just so everybody knows, the system is, it's difficult to understand, and it's more difficult to try to follow. And I'm not sure if you guys remember early on in my channel, I had the same issue, but I figured out how to not have that happen. And don't get me wrong, there's been a couple times, there's certain songs out there that you can't use anyway. It doesn't matter. They just don't want nobody using it at all, period. And a lot of that has to do with international specific countries. It'll, like my videos, I had a couple streams, they got blocked in certain countries for what reason. The one that I didn't even play any music. So I was kind of like, what the heck is going on with that? But, you know, it ain't like it's not like a strike on your channel or anything like that. It's just they'll send you to say, hey, any revenue made off of this, you can't monetize this. You know, that kind of thing. Hey, Keith, what's up, man? Hope you're doing good, bud. But yeah, guys, Hope Queen's doing good too. So when is stuff supposed to hit, as far as what I just showed you guys, you know, like I said, it could be, if you want to go off of NASA's model, it looks as though it's going to impact us on like the 29th, 30th, maybe. Just depends on how fast it's moving. They do get the speed on this wrong quite often. It's, again, you know, it's their initial whatever. There's 93 million miles from the sun to here, so a lot of stuff could, you know. Oh, did you get here a little bit late? No problem, no problem. I did, and yeah, like when I end the stream here in just a second, if you go to the front of the video, I went through all the data first, just so you guys know. Right here, guys, this is that eruption on the sun. That's roughly the 29th is what I'm saying. 29th, 30th, that kind of thing. What is today? Today's the 26th, so yeah, 29th, 30th. Yeah, neutrinos and muons, all that kind of thing with cosmic rays. Yeah. Will they combine? I don't see two of them here. The two that I showed you guys were actually on opposite sides of the sun. So no, those won't combine. But I'm sitting here looking at this, and I was trying to look at it on the ISFA site. Let's see if we can't see what happened just now. Oh, look at that. Okay. Well, see, now we ain't going nowhere. Hang in here for a second, guys. Yeah, that just happened. Told you, didn't I? Told you guys. Watch right here. This is a second eruption from basically the same area. Right here. That one looks bigger. See it? That one, yeah, it's still in process of leaving the area here, as far as what we get to see. Yeah, when I was showing you guys this a few minutes ago, remember I said, hey, look at this. We're having another eruption. And that's the reason why it was pretty short on the X-ray. Because it wasn't a flare. At least not a big one. The CME was more of a deal there than anything. Yeah. Wow. Let me, check this out on the 304. Let me go ahead and update all these real quick. All right, let's check out the 304. Oh, yeah, that was I'll tell you what, that second one there, guys, might be bigger. Okay, so what we got here, we got one up here. Remember that one. See it right there? Right there, going forward. Now, that's clearly quite a bit of plasma leaving the sun. Just so you know, that is not a little one. All right. And then we had the first one here. Watch where my cursor's at. Actually, that happened before that one over there. Hold on. I'll back it up. May not even be able to see it too much on this one. Nope, can't. But watch right here. Whoa. Wow, guys, look at that. Whoa. Huh. Wow. Didn't expect that. Did not expect that. Holy crap. Oh, man. Wow. Okay. Let's look at that again. How about that? Want to look at it again? It's right here. You can't miss it. That's for sure. But to answer your question, oh my gosh. Look at that, guys. Now look what happens. You see this little arc right there? That's a filament standing up off the face of the sun. We just got through talking about this. Watch this filament crack right in half. Watch. See it? Boom, and then it gets ejected out. Look at that. Now, with these filaments, I want to emphasize that these things can go in some really crazy directions. Okay, because as you can see, it's almost like, you know how some people say it's all in the wrist? well, depending on what topic you're talking about. You're kind of flinging it, like snapping a towel on somebody's butt when you get out the shower. You know what I'm saying? That's kind of what that's doing. Look at that. Now, remember I showed you guys the X-ray over there on NOAA. You know, you can tell that this didn't produce too much X-ray because you didn't see that X pattern that we see with a really bright sunspot. You know what, guys? I may restart this stream. This stream's getting long, so I think I will. Okay, guys? So don't go nowhere. I'm going to end this stream, and I'm going to come back on with the second one, okay? In like 2 seconds. I'm not even going to, well, I might change my thumbnail real quick, just real quick. But if you guys want to come back, you can, okay? But I'm going to talk about this. I'm just going to go straight to the eruptions, all right? So anyway, hope you guys can make it right back here, guys. God bless. Yahusha saves. And you can drink this Kool-Aid. Come right on back, okay?